Okay, you're looking to move to Orlando, Florida. You want to know, is it a dangerous place to live? We've all looked at, Florida man does this, Florida woman does this, and it's all chaos. There's always so much going on. And, well, you know what? In this video, I'm going to cover if it actually is a dangerous place, and you might be actually really surprised because being a tourist city doesn't always bring the best people. All right, let's get into it. What's up, everyone? My name is Cameron Hodge, coming at you from eXp Realty here in Orlando, Florida. And on this channel, this is your first time, we talk about making the move to and living in Orlando, Florida. So don't forget to hit like and subscribe to be notified every time I drop a new video, which is on Tuesday and Thursday. But while I love making this content for you to help you make the move to Orlando, what I love even more being a licensed real estate agent in Orlando, Florida is helping you with your real estate decisions in Orlando. So if that's you and you're looking to get connected, this number popping up below is how you can get a hold of me. Call, text, email, whatever you have to do. I have your back when moving to Orlando, Florida. Getting into it. Okay, is Orlando a dangerous place? I think so. Coming from outside before moving to Orlando, I think we've all looked up Orlando man does this, Orlando woman does this. There's always some crazy story that comes up, some crazy situation where it's just like, what the, like who even does this? Like, where are these people? And I think that's what a lot of people have pre-notions sometimes when they're considering moving to Orlando. And, I can say, like, it's like any city or metropolitan area. There are dangerous areas and there are good areas, which is also why it's important you reach out to me and the team, because we can help you pinpoint almost the exact location that you need to consider that will kind of help you get a good idea and a good life when you move here, because that's really the goal. And Orlando overall, so this is coming from like niche.com, which is where I get most of my statistics when it comes to this, because obviously I am unbiased in this. I'm pulling outside statistics when it comes to it. But then I'll tell you some stories about what I've experienced since I moved here. So obviously Orlando is rated a C so this is like an A-B scale like you would for school. So it's rated a C. Now, I will tell you Tampa is actually rated the same now. So they've just recently updated them. So Tampa was a B, now it's a C. And so they're about equal when it comes to crime and safety. But like that being said, like a lot of times crime happens and like it's always concentrated in certain areas. So I always have that pre-notion. But I will tell you, when we first moved here and we were traveling around, we were like, all right, we'll hit a list of homes. Like, this is where we're going to go look, see if we want to buy these homes. We're driving around. We go to one, we're just like, you turn the corner and it's nothing but like, I can't even believe people are living in these conditions, to be fully honest with you. And it's a sad thing at the same time, but it's also like, I'm not raising my kids on this street. Like, what the heck? Like, this does not seem like a safe area. So it's something to take note of. Also, obviously, since moving here, like there's a lot of definitely breaking and enterings when it comes to Polk County and stuff like that we noticed, and like that was always a fear. But at the same time, I do believe in owning a firearm, so like I'm like, well, okay, I know I'm safe on that respect just because I do it naturally, even if I'm in like the nicest neighborhood like Dr. Phillips, right? So it doesn't really matter what that situation is to me. It's more or less like the culture outside, where if like my kids are playing in the backyard, do I feel safe with them playing out there and things like that, right? And I think we all want that, especially if you're a parent watching this. Like, you want to know, like, what's a safe area to live in? Like, because like obviously the areas usually predicate how safe the schools are at the same time. Not always, but it's something that we need to take a look at when it comes to making the move out here. So, Orlando overall, like, yes, like if it's like in a direct suburb or, Polk County always had a bad rep. I know there's the sheriff of Polk County has been on YouTube a lot. A lot of people have watched him talk about certain scenarios and terrible situations that have occurred. Polk County definitely was always like the lower income county compared to Orlando. And obviously that always bleeds over. No matter where you're from, like there are always those areas that are like that just bleed over into outside cities, suburbs, things like that. I will tell you what's interesting though about Orlando in the central area is that yes, the crime rate is like that. I have two opinions on that. One, it's like obviously it's getting more crowded, and like when you have more people living in an area, it always seems to make things worse in a lot of cases. We're humans, so like we're just always getting involved in stuff and making terrible situations. But like I chose to live on the the border between Orange and Polk County. That's just where we ended up fitting our budget and ended up being a good place, and I'm happy with it, right? But it's important to know that like yes, Polk County like is gonna be lower in price, people give it a bad rep than what it should be, I believe, in a lot of times. And the reason I bring this up is because it's a lot of areas people who, if they can't afford Dr. Phillips, that's usually where they end up looking, or they want to be a little bit more out there. Like, they don't like being that they're like me. I don't like being in a crowded city area. Like, I couldn't live in downtown. It'd drive me crazy. it just would. But while Orlando might have that crime and safety rating, you have to look individually when it comes to specific cities and suburbs, because every area is going to have its own different rating. And this is all public information. Like, you can look up like where like the biggest homicides are, and like, yes, it sounds crazy, but yet you can, just like you can look up like sex offenders and stuff like that. It's all public information. You can look up all of it. And I always encourage everyone to do their research before moving out here, because yes, reaching out to me can help you pinpoint like cities and suburbs that you need to consider based on what you need and want. It's also important to make sure you look up crime and safety rules, because like, I can talk all day, but it's always important to make sure you do your own research so you know where you're getting into, what's going on, things like that. Now, I will tell you, like, obviously I always talk about North Orlando. That definitely, a lot of those communities tend, like Lake Mary's, and that they have that like that smaller town feel. I really enjoy them. A lot of people, when it comes to those crowds and the craziness, are always along like the 4 freeway, Kissimmee, St. Cloud. Like, I'm not gonna say they're dangerous communities. Is that what I'm saying right now? What I'm saying is like, if you're obviously like, that's the crowded areas. That's where always people are, especially during tourist seasons. Like, I call it the Disney World bubble. It's like this whole area where people are just crowding around Disney World. That's where they want to live. That's where we chose to live initially as well. But I will tell you that probably, maybe another 5 years, like, we'll probably consider moving to, a different area inside Orlando that gives us, we just want some more land, want some more space, I mean, it's great being close to everything, but at the same time, like, it's a give and take relationship, because like, obviously that crime and safety and everything like that plays into it. And you need to consider that when making the move out here, because, it's one thing I think I noticed when in Florida compared to like a lot of states, right? Like, when you look at like, especially like California, for example, or like New York, like, you have like some cities and towns are just worse than others. We come to Florida, and like, you might be in a town, like one, section of the city or town, a suburb might be like, wow, this is really nice. I could definitely see myself living here. And all of a sudden you turn the corner and you're like, whoa, what the heck? Like, man, these people are living that mobile home, like half of it's collapsed in on itself. What the heck? And that's what surprised me about Florida. Not so much Orange County in particular, but Polk County. Now, one thing is to be noted, whether for good or for bad, is that as people with higher incomes, bigger pocketbooks move to Orlando, what happens is cost of living gets higher. And a lot of like the lower income of society, I'm not saying they're all bad, but they're definitely, it's where you get a lot of the homeless and things like that. They start to get pushed out because they just can't afford to live there anymore. And whether for good or for bad, like, I do think in time, like, you will see crime ratings change, but it's one of those things where for the time being, yeah, there are definitely pockets that are going to be dangerous that you probably don't want to live in. It's like any city. Like, are you going to go to Los Angeles and go to the freaking, the ghetto? No, you're not. Like, what? Why would you do that? But you also know that if you're not from there, you're probably not going to know where that area is, because you're not from there. You don't know. And as always, make sure you do your research. Now, I will tell you that obviously Florida is a state where, this is good to be covered, is that you do have the right to defend your home. Now, some states like California, even if you defend your home with a weapon, like, you are going to have to probably deal with it in court and get arrested and go through all this mess, because that's just how California is. Like, why would you want to have the right to defend yourself? I believe in it. I think it's crazy. That's why I hated living there immensely. Here in Florida, like, once someone breaks into your home, like, you have every right to use what means necessary to defend you and your family. And that's one blessing I enjoy about Florida, is that is something that comes with it. Now, you might not like it. You might not think it's a good thing for your family and your fit. So maybe Orlando and Florida, it's just not for you. But that is something that's a real thing. Like, we're working on passing constitutional carry, which means you wouldn't need a permit anymore. Now, obviously, you need a background check to get a gun. I'm not going down this conversation, but that means anyone would be allowed without a permit to conceal carry a firearm. Obviously, there are rules of businesses being able to say, hey, no firearms allowed and things like that. And that's a whole different discussion. But in terms of like the general state, like, that means everyone would be, you have the right to defend yourself in a situation. And, I personally believe I love it. I think it's a great thing. I think having the right to defend you and your family, at least in the home, where you have the right to defend your family, just gives me peace of mind. Also, if I'm not there, my wife, she's been trained, she knows what she's doing, and that is another thing that gives me a little peace of mind. But it doesn't mean Orlando's like this wild, wild west. I will tell you, like 99% of the time you're going to be going around, you probably won't see a darn thing. Just it plays into like alligators. Like people are like, oh, there's alligators everywhere. Yes, there are. Like, you know, don't go into like, you know, the lakes and things like that. But that also applies into the danger as well. Like if you're buying a home near a lake, keep in mind like alligators are probably gonna see them at some point. But that also doesn't mean you just go in the water and be like, I'm just gonna go for a swim. Like, no, man. Like, what are you doing? Because even at the same time, like we also hear those stories. That even Disney World had a situation where a 2-year-old got killed by an alligator inside the lake inside Epcot. That's crazy. And they ended up pulling out like 150 alligators from that lake. Now, on the flip side, it's like, why are you letting your 2-year-old just walk near the water? Like, I've been there. Like, I was like, what? How is your 2-year-old just walking along the water by themselves? As a parent, it just drives me insane. Like, you know, people who come here just don't understand. Like, yes, it's Florida. Everything wants to kill you. Between bugs, snakes, alligators, like it's how it's always been. If you look at the history, even when the Native Americans lived here, like they were some crazy, like nuts. Like they would kill alligators and use like their shoots, like their bony spines, and they would use that as armor because it deflects low caliber. Right? It's crazy. It's awesome. But that's Florida. Like, and it hasn't changed. I guess, and even in this modern world, like there are like the nature side of it is still dangerous. Does that mean it's gonna be dangerous to you? No, don't mess with it. Like, common sense. Like, and if you don't know, talk to a local, because like going near lakes and things like that is also another danger aspect you need to consider when moving here. Not so much the crime and things like that. Like, you can choose to live in different areas, but like really, it's the wildlife that honestly gets people. And not always. I mean, I even saw a video from like a month or two ago. Maybe it was this year. And a guy, like his small dog, got taken in the water by a baby alligator, and he went in there, grabbed the alligator, and saved his dog. Like that's Florida, you know. And you have to understand that if you are moving away from the suburbs and things like that, like you're not going to be sheltered from the wildlife as much. And when you start to live more in the country, if you're like me, I enjoy it. But those are things you need to consider. Or even if you're traveling to like nature preserves or you're near lakes and ponds, like alligators live here too. Like it's their area. And you don't mess with the wildlife, because yes, you might think you're a human, you're super strong, but it doesn't mean you should be out there doing crazy things. And as a parent, like take care of your kids. Like don't just let them walk near water by themselves and do all this crazy stuff. Like, you know, people just need to understand like all of Florida, it's not just Orlando when it comes to wildlife and stuff like that. Like, yes, there are dangers, even wild hogs. And wild hogs, like, let's see, like the males, like their tusks, like they'll cut you like a knife with those hooks. But they leave you alone if you leave them alone. So clearly, if you're out looking for trouble, like you will find it. That's the one thing I think I learned about Florida, is if you're looking for trouble, it will find you. But if you're not looking for trouble and you're just here living your life, having a great time, guess what? You'll have a great time and live a great life. So yes, Orlando might seem, in Florida in general as well, might just seem like a dangerous place. But if you're not looking for trouble and you're just here to have a good time and help people, hey, it'll be a good time for you and you'll have a great time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I gave you a good idea whether Orlando is a dangerous place or whether it is for you or not for you. So hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.